Digital choice boards. Well, let's get started. Well, if today is Wednesday and you are watching, we made it, y'all. We made it to hump day of the first week of hybrid and virtual learning. Give yourself these little heads. So, welcome. My name is Angelica Johnson Smith, and today we're going to be talking about choice boards. And I'm not talking about these types of choice boards, the ones that we make on paper. I'm talking about digital choice boards. So, stay tuned, and we're going to dive into how to create digital choice boards for our learners. So, what are digital choice boards? Digital choice boards is a form of differentiated learning style that gives the students a choice in how they want to learn. Simple as that. It's almost like a graphic organizer that's tiered based on the students' learning needs and based on the students' learning styles. It provides us a little bit more options beyond the worksheet. You give one worksheet and you tell the students, do it. If you give choices and options on how it's done, you are able to assess if the students have full understanding of the information that's being taught. So there are many reasons why we can use digital choice boards. I know for me, back in March when I was teaching in the classroom, it was difficult to keep the students engaged once they had finished the assignment that was given. And think about it, I was teaching kindergarten. So what I would do is I would create a simple list or a simple menu of choices for them to complete once they finish with the main lesson that we're doing, especially when we're doing like quick assessments. So instead of the students just kind of chilling out in the Google Meet room, what they would do is they could go to the Google Classroom and they can complete choice board options. And I would give them, I would kind of build my library of the choice board options. I would kind of section them off like this is a math choice board, ELA choice board, reading choice board, or any thematic unit that we had done. And those students, even at 5 and 6 years old, could go into those to that folder or to their assignment, and they can click on the choice board, and it would just take them to an extensive world of learning outside of being in the Google Meet and waiting on us to actually finish up a task, whether it was an exit ticket, an assessment, or just simply typing something in the chat. The students were still engaged because they had something outside of just sitting to do, kind of like when we're in the classroom. When we're in the classroom and we're waiting for the students to be done, we tell the children, hey, you're an early finisher. Let's get something done. Do you have your book with you? Do you have this? But it's different when you're in the digital world because you're not face to face with them all the time. And then you're trying to man the computer over here. You're trying to man your students. So a digital choice board will give you some feedback as to whether the students know what's going on and if they're actually mastering the skills that you have taught. And it will provide them with an extension to their learning styles. They're also flexible. And when I say flexible, I mean that the students can finish this choice board that you give them any type of way that they want to, because guess what? It doesn't always have to be tic-tac-toe. I saw the cutest choice board that was a flower petal. And each time the students completed a petal on the flower, they could color it in any pattern they wanted to. And the teacher used this as a form of data charting. She would cut the flower out and put it on the board saying, I finished my learning goal for this week. Another thing is it's self-centered. It's student-centered, meaning that it surrounds how the students learn. It surrounds the level that the student is on. You may have 3 tier 3 students, 2 tier 1 students, 4 tier 2 students, and you can create choice boards just for those students, and they all will fall in alignment with the skills and the standards that are being taught, but in a different way. And that's what we want to do. We want to be flexible in how we are delivering our method of instruction to the students. The last thing, or second to last thing, is paperless. Y'all, even though we are hybrid virtual and eventually we'll be back in person, face to face, we still have to maintain that distance. Students can't share materials. They just can't reach into the book box and grab something out. This will work perfect in workstations. So it's a paperless method, and it also provides constant student engagement, just like I said. They finish early, hey, let's check that choice board. I need to see if you've mastered those long and sharp vowel sounds. Let's check this choice board. I need to understand if you fully understood the main idea that we were talking about in this week's story. So it's really flexible, and each task that you do can be differentiated for each student that you have, each group of students that you have, and it allows them to attain those goals. And we want our students to feel successful at all times. So let's talk about the 5 types of digital choice boards. Okay, the first type we have is the tic tac toe style. The tic tac toe style is probably the most commonly used choice boards with teachers. Even when we did paper based choice boards, the tic tac toe style was the one that we kind of gravitated to the most. And with the tic tac toe, the students will probably or should select 3 options, and they can meet the requirements of completion by either going diagonally, vertically, as long as they get 3 in a row or 3 assignments or tasks complete. It still provides for any type of choice, and it still provides for differentiation. Another example would be the 4 C's. And 4 C's is kind of like maybe a higher order thinking, but it still can be applicable to kindergarten and pre-K. It just works with communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. And those are our 4 C's. I've inserted a template here so that you can actually create a 4 C's digital learning menu for your students. And what the 4 C's do is they make sure that you're covering each component so that the students are able to work. Now, when they do a 4 C choice board, they're actually tiered by the student's abilities. For example, this one has 4, 6, 8 options for the students to complete. Although that they are 2 under each one, the student has a choice out of which component they would complete for, or which assignment or which task they would complete for communication. Example, summarize your learning using a digital tool of your choice, and feel free to use multiple types of media. For example, a video, presentation, drawing, Twitter, or a mind map. Another option for the communication would be to teach a concept using a digital tool of your choice. Again, it's the same concept. One is summarizing using a digital tool, the other is actually teaching a lesson. And students, I know my kinders love to pretend like they were on YouTube. We used to have a portion in the day where they would actually teach, and we would make videos with their little tablets and everything, and they would say, "Hey, you guys, it's me, and I'm teaching about number bonds today." And it gives you insight as to if they actually understand the method and process of completing and problem solving, or if they understand concepts in reading, word attack skills, phonemic awareness, just by hearing them teach a lesson. Another part of the 4 C's component is collaboration. And again, it gives them 2 options. One is just a little bit higher tier than the other, but it encompasses the same thing, and the outcome is the same. But again, it gives the students choices. The next is the probably my favorite. It is so fun. This one is a little bit more complex. It gives more options and more choices, and this is called a menu, a choice menu. And with the choice menu, you would actually tell the students you're going to the restaurant. You can name whatever restaurant you want to name it, and you would tell them you need to at least pick an entree, and you would give them a list here. And I left this as a template because we're going to go back in and play with it. Give them a list of things to do here. You need to pick one entree, but before you begin, let's start off with an appetizer. And with the appetizer, you can actually have them record something or watch something. You can have them record what they would like to learn or what they already know, or you can have them watch a video to give them some background knowledge so that when they complete everything, they'll have that knowledge and that foundation to complete things. The dessert is usually where it's something that's always there. It's fun. You look forward to doing it. My kids love to do the virtual Legos. And so once they were finished, their dessert was to complete and build something with their Legos that had something to do with our lesson. For example, when we did our last unit was on plants and flowers, and we didn't get to close out like we wanted to. We didn't get to go to the strawberry patch or the pumpkin patch. So they had to build a garden, and they had to use the Legos, and they loved using the Legos with that. They just like playing with the digital things. The beverage on this end is something that's non-digital. Now, because we're in the digital age and we're kind of subscribing to a paperless thing, we can switch that out. It doesn't have to be a non-digital option. It can actually be something that they can put into the Google Classroom, or maybe if they're at home, they can produce it at home, and they can take it back and video it and give you and you can still give them the feedback, and you can still assess to understand. And so, as always, the children want to know, did I do this right? Especially if they're working on their own, you can always provide a rubric to check for understanding or to make sure that they're working towards mastery and just not towards being finished. So this board right here is the bingo board. And this is a little bit different. Bingo boards are just like tic-tac-toe boards, except it gives 5 options, 5 rows. But what I did with this one, courtesy of my friend, I teach science and look her up on Teachers Pay Teachers, the most awesome things, is that this one will take you to another Google slide deck, and the entire choice board is linked to the Google slide. So when you click on one, it takes you to slide two. If you click on another component, it takes you to a different slide, but you never actually leave your Google slide, and it's all contained into one. So I wanted to show you the option of building your Google slide. Building your choice boards that way. So we're going to dive in first, and we're going to quickly create a tic-tac-toe board so that you can see how easy it is to make these and how engaging they can be. You can get lost in these. It's almost like building a Bitmoji classroom. You can put in what you need to have assessed, what you need to teach your students, what you need to engage your students, all on one page. And it's a little bit more than a hyperdoc because it gives them a choice. So we're going to get started with how to create a tic-tac-toe digital choice board. So we know that the tic-tac-toe method was probably one of the first digital choice boards or first choice board that we saw on paper a long time ago. I remember printing them out and laminating them and putting them around my room so that students could have them as early finishers when they were done with doing their work. That's when I taught like second grade, and they would walk around. I had them color coded, and it was really, really nice. But we've moved into a digital age, and so digital choice boards are the way to go. So the first one we're going to create is a tic-tac-toe board. And to create my grid, what I normally like to do is to choose a shape that I can type in. I have a cheat code for you. It's really easy to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Insert. We're going to go down to Shape, and we're going to scroll across the shape. And there are 2 options that we can probably use for a tic-tac-toe board, the rectangle and the square. Oh, they call it a bevel, but a square. And then there's also another square here that you can use for flowcharts. But I like to use the rectangle. And what I do is I insert the rectangle into my document. I just choose to open a new slide and I insert it there. Let me show you. And I can make it as big, as small as I want, but I want something that's going to give me some room to type in. So I'm going to go with that size. Now, if you notice, it's got a feel to it, but I'm going to change my feel, and the feel is the color that's inside, to a transparent color. So to change my feel, I need to make sure that it's selected, and it is because it's the only square now. And I'm going to go up here to this little bucket. And if you hover over it, it will say fill color. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to make it transparent. That means I won't have any color in it at all. Once I make it transparent, it looks like this. Now, there's my square for my tic-tac-toe grid. Now, do I really want to keep going back and forth to insert shape, square, change the transparency, change color? No. The easiest way to do it is to actually select the entire rectangle, copy it, and paste it. And you can move it around to create your grid, like so, like that. Y'all watch Tabitha Brown, like so, like that, like so, like that. And we'll just keep pasting it until we form our grid. And the good thing about Google Slides is that it gives you some type of grid or some landmarks so you can know where you're aligning your shapes so that everything is aligned and in one piece, and it looks very neat. I'm going to keep on pasting these in until I have created my choice board. And all I'm doing is click and paste. I don't need to copy it again, just paste. And I'm moving them so that the shapes are nice and neat. And my last one, and boom, I got a tic-tac-toe board. So the next thing I need to do is I need to give it a title. I'm going to go to insert, give me a text box to put here. And here I am going to insert my title. I like to name mine by week. So this will be week 1. And because I want this one to be a literacy-based choice board, the story that we're reading when we come back into the classroom is going to be First Day Jitters. So I'm going to type it here that this is a First Day Jitters choice board. And it also makes it easier so that next year when I go back, I can find it. And it also, if I need to reteach a skill, I can go in, I can change something out. Maybe that one didn't work for the kids. I can change it out. I can make it harder. I can do all kinds of things, but I want to make sure that I have a database set up. So I can, I got to align this, y'all. I have to have my, there we go. So I have my title there. On the side here, you can put in a graphic, some images. The kids love to see colorful things, so I like to put in little graphics so that they can have something to look at. If you wanted to make sure that this choice board was for a specific group, like your tiered groups, you can maybe put a code for yourself, T1 for tier 1 group, T3, tier 3. If it was for your homogeneous reading groups, you can put in maybe select another shape and do a little circle. And let's say this one is just strictly for your red group. Remember how we changed that field color? So now I know this is my red group choice board, just strictly for red group. So I have that there. Just anything to help you with filing. Okay. So let's just pretend like this is for the red group. So I said before, I think I said before, that I like for my students to have a jump start. I want them to put their best foot forward and be motivated. So I like to choose my center square as the starting point. Now we do give them choices. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But just like when we play bingo or anything else, we always have a starting point and we want to get them started and motivated. So I pick the center square as something is easily accomplished and that the children will all feel successful and motivated to go on to complete the rest of the tasks that are asked for them and to get their 3 in a row. So what I would do is I would make this square a different color, something that's going to draw them in. And so I'm going to go here and I'm going to pick a color and tell them, hey, that's your starting point. And I think the starting point for them should be to actually listen to a story or listen to a read aloud. So I am going to give them the directions to listen to the read aloud. So I'm going to insert a text box here. And I'm going to type listen to the story, First Day Jitters. And I'm going to make that nice and neat so that they can see it. I can probably make my font a little bit smaller. And there I go again. Y'all have to align. There you go. And here's our title. But for this one, I'm only addressing one type of reading style. And remember, the whole point of making these boards is to differentiate our learning. And we may have some students that need visuals as support. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put the book cover in. And what I previously did was I went to google.com and I searched for the cover of First Day Jitters. And I saved it to my drive. So to put that image in, I'm going to go to Insert, Image, and I'm going to go to my drive. Once I get to my drive, because I saved it in there previously, it'll pop up and I can drop and drag that image into our choice board. That way your students who are not as strong of a reader, they have that support that they can lean on to, they have an image that they can associate with. They also have a nice graphic. It's also good for your other students, and it gives your board a nice look. It gives it a title so that they can see. So I'm going to insert my image. Let's find it. And y'all, just want to let y'all know I am recording in real time. So this is real internet. Alrighty. And it should pop up eventually. So while we're waiting on that, I'm going to put in the image here so that the students will be able to see it. Now, if I wanted to take the time to do each one of these squares something different, I wanted to lean on the support of our whole story. So let's just say, for instance, the skills that we will be touching will be reading comprehension, sequence of events, vocabulary, retelling stories. I would have a square for each one of those activities here. So here is my book cover here so that I can support my other readers. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to insert it. Once it is inserted here, I will have an image, and that image will give the support to those children that are needing graphics to read. So once I have my image, I'm going to need to resize it so that it can fit into our square to give our readers that needed support of graphics. I'm going to resize it and make it small enough so that it can fit into the box. I think that's big enough. And now our readers are ready to read the story. So you say, read the story. How do we read the story? We're going to go to another teacher favorite resource, which is the YouTube. And when we get to the YouTube, we are going to search for our story. And the name of our story is called First Day Jitters. So once we click on our story, let's see, First Day Jitters, read aloud. It came up, it hurt me. We're going to choose the read aloud that works best for us. So I know that Happy Cultivated has the best read alouds because she has the actual book and she has the words. So you have students who love to read, but they don't have the book in their hands. It's not tangible to them. They can actually pause and read the story here. So I think we're going to go with this one because of those graphics and the support. And also, when they get stuck on words, especially names of the characters and people that are not the same, we're going to skip these ads. It helps them out too. So here's our book, and I'm choosing this one. So what I'm going to do is go to share. And when I get to share, it's going to generate a link. I'm just going to copy that link to my clipboard. And then I'm going to go back to my digital choice board and I'm going to paste it. Now, when we paste our link in, we can have it linked to the entire square. We can have it linked to the book, or we can have it linked to the text. I like to link to the entire square because it makes it easier for smaller hands to kind of access it, because it kind of gets cumbersome for them, especially if they're new to the Chromebook or the tablet, to find the actual spot to click on. So I like to highlight the entire box. And then I'm going to go up to insert. Scroll all the way down here to link. When I click on link, it's going to open up a dialog box and it says paste the link or search. We don't need to search. We're just going to paste it here and we're going to apply it. Once we apply it, it's going to apply that link to the entire square so that when the students click on the square, it will bring them back to the story. We have other squares that we can fill in. Those squares are all different tasks. If I wanted to put in a task here for writing, maybe I can have it linked to my seesaw. If I wanted to put in a link for phonics and maybe a game, I would have it linked to my Starfall. If I wanted something that was producible, that I needed to see if they actually understood, maybe like an exit ticket, I can think of an activity that I can put into my Google Classroom that those students would each have their own copy, and I can link it here. But we want to make it so that each child has an opportunity to show you what they have learned. If we take a look here is one that we did on plant life, and it's that's our freebie square already linked off. And they had stories. They had reading comprehension for From Seed to Plant. They had a narrative writing that they had to do. They even looked at the diagram about what's inside of a seed. And all of these are linked. Label and diagram a plant. I mean, think about it. How would we be able to do this if we weren't face-to-face? They can actually do it virtually. So those are some ways that you can set up a tic-tac-toe choice board for your students. You can put any core subject there: math, reading, science, social studies, music teachers, ancillary teachers. You can put your things in too. So the goal is, yes, to get 3 in a row, but the goal is to differentiate and provide those students with choices. So the next one we're going to talk about is the menu. The menu is so cute. It's fun for them, and they're having a great time at the same time as learning. Is our digital menu. And the menu is set up just like a food menu. And just like when you go into a restaurant, you can choose what you would like to eat. Your favorite meal, your appetizer, what beverage you want, your soup of the day, all of the good stuff, and my favorite, the dessert. So we're going to create a choice board based on that. And these are just basically, again, shapes that were used to create that. And I'll show you how we actually created this background to put in the components for each one. So we're going to start off with a new slide, and we're going to give it a background color. And they gave it the background color of a gray. We can give it any color we want to. So we would just click on background, go to color, and I'm going to pick a pretty yellow. And we're done. We got our background. So the next thing we had, let's just think of our menu. We have appetizers. So what they did was they inserted shapes. And from inserting the shapes, they gave the shapes a fill color. And then they inserted a text box. And they gave it a title. So this one would be appetizers. And you can change the font if needed. I like a fun font. It's like a marker. So appetizers. So the next thing we needed to do is we need to insert another shape so that we can actually put our choices there. So our choices, I'm going to use a box. And under appetizers, this is where I'll be able to list my choices for appetizers. And since my appetizer banner is white, I'm going to make my fill color. Remember how we changed fill color? I'm going to make that white. And when I'm ready to type in my choices, I'm going to insert a text box. Now, this part is kind of tricky because each one of our appetizers needs to have its own text box, because when we click on it, we want that one appetizer to take us to our assignment. So I can type in my appetizer. Oh, y'all, I love crab claws. Oh my goodness, I'm getting hungry. Another one that the kids might like, cheese sticks. And let's give one more. Trying to think kid friendly. Let's do salsa and chips. Move it up just a tad bit. So now we have our appetizers here. So then we can create another banner for our main course. And our main course is the meat of our assignment. That's where we want our children to get we want to get a full view of what they know. So we would insert another shape. And let's say we wanted our shape to be, we can pick anything. We're going to get creative with it. Let's do a box, a call out box, or another banner, or cloud. Let's do a text box. So here's our main course here. And if I wanted to change my fill color, I can do that. I would insert a text box. And I would type in main course. Center that up. And I'm going to give it a font on its own. I like that one. And then again, I'm going to insert another shape, and I'm going to put in all of what can be my choice for a main course. And I'm going to put that there. Remember, we have to do individual text boxes for each one. So let's go back in and add our links. Y'all remember how to add those links in? So I'm going to highlight the word crab claws, and I'm going to go to my assignment, and I pick something to do in Seesaw for the kids. So let's say we're talking about nouns, and we're teaching first grade. So we're going to do nouns, and we're going to search for nouns. We're going to come across the activity that we want to do with the children. So once we get that activity, we're going to copy the link onto our actual menu. And so now they have a choice. If they choose crab claws, It may bring them to something that they want to do. If they decide that it's something that they don't want to do, then they can always pick something else, because we send things back to the kitchen too when we're not pleased. So here is an actual assignment. It's about nouns, and they have to find emojis that represent a person, place, or thing. They have to use the emoji keyboard to insert those in there. And then once they find it, they record their voice saying what they found, a person, a place, or thing, and then they send it back to their teacher. So we're going to assign that to our students. And when we assign this to our students, the good thing about Seesaw is that it creates a link and it gives them that folders. Seesaw is amazing. That's another link. Seesaw, I don't know if I told you about Epic. Epic is another one. You can also view the activity over here in our activity bin. I'm going to get the link for it. And we need this link because this link is how we're going to, we got our copy. It's how we're going to put it onto our menu. So I've already highlighted crab claws. So our next step is to go to insert. Move me out the way. Come over here. Our next step is to go to insert, go to link. And here's our text right here, crab claws. And all I need to do is paste in that link. Let's try again. Going to paste in that link. And I'm going to apply it to just the word crab claws. And now it's highlighted. So if the student clicks on crab claws, it will bring that student to that assignment. Now, again, if that student thought that that assignment was too hard or maybe difficult for them at that level, or maybe too easy, they can select something else, because you want to give them a choice. You want to make sure that the instruction is tiered to their needs. So let's look at this one again. If we look at this one, it has the same things. It has your options of what do you want to eat. Your appetizer here is actually an audio recording. They can listen to the story A Bad Case of Stripes. They have options of what they would like to drink. You have a choice, apple juice or milk. Which one would you like? They click on apple juice and it will bring them to their assignment. If they click on milk, it'll bring them somewhere else. But the whole thing is to give the students choices. And we are experiencing an internet lag here. Here we go. Once they get to that assignment, they read the directions, everything is available for them. Now, another teacher tip is if you have a student that is a student that needs to have directions read aloud to them, or they need to have verbal directions, you can include those verbal directions in their Seesaw, or you can actually include the verbal directions here. You can record yourself using a video audio recorder, and you can link it here. Put a cute little graphic of a speaker and it'll give the students their directions. If you have English language learners, you can get the directions in their native language. Another cute feature is the sides area, and they have it labeled as teacher led, but guess what? If you don't want it teacher led, edit it, take it out. You don't have to have it teacher led, okay? But if you wanted it teacher led, you can have your link to your Google Meets here if and only if it's that time for that group. Remember how we talked about differentiating it for different groups? If it's time for that group to meet you there, cool. Another cool feature, assessment and exit ticket. Once they finish, you've gotten your sides, clean your plate, happy plate. Let's do a Jamboard so we can check out, okay? That's almost like your receipt, your bill of sale. They can get out of there and they can pay their bill. And that exit ticket will let you know if they have mastered the skills that you've taught through using these menus or choice boards. So these are different ways that we can share. I mean, these are fun ways. Choice boards provide an amazing resource for your students. This one is one of my faves too. Okay, so this one, I'm not going to say it's a hyperdoc, but this one is pre-K kindergarten friendly. I actually have the squares. Again, I created each one of the squares, copied and pasted it, and I included a link to each thing. And look at the graphics. The students know what to do. Just looking at the graphics, they're able to say, oh, I'm supposed to go to the computer on this one. I must be writing something on this one, and that's a question mark. So each one has an assignment for the students. So here they are listening to the story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. And then once they listen to the story, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, then the next thing would be to retell it. And they have to put the story in sequential order. And this assignment is actually available to them in their Google Classroom. So each student will have a copy, and you're able to see, did they really understand the story, or did they just go through the motions? And they're able to put in order how the story happened. And it's pretty cute because it gives them a self-correcting option if you kind of pay attention to what's going on here. Another thing is they're able to do writing. Seesaw provides an opportunity for students to actually do a shared writing because the students have the camera, they can write and they can share it back to their teacher by just taking a picture. And it gives them the option of taking a picture, and everything in Seesaw is little people friendly. Fluency read, same thing with Seesaw. It gives them a timer. They can read it back to you, and you can hear their fluency. You can hear them saying those letters in the beginning and the sounds, and then eventually moving up to words. Phonics and wordplay. This takes us again to another activity, and then technology will take us to something that we would need to do on the computer. And a great option would be Starfall. And because it's the last option that they would have, they can actually pick, give them a choice. Which one would you like to do? And so by using the digital choice boards, it gives them so many amazing options, and it allows you to see what they know. I mean, we don't want them to be stuck in one method of doing something all the time. The last thing that I wanted to show you is the bingo board. Okay, so one easy way that I found to do my digital choice boards was to create a Google slide deck that is connected to our choice board. And so this is the one that I was telling you all about, and we're going to take a look at it. Okay, so this is a science bingo board. And if we go to the actual choice board, it's here. And what the teacher did on slide one was put in the choice board. And this is for an upper grade, but still, I mean, it's a choice board. And it gives you so many options that you can do with any grade level. But it also shows you how you can use one slide to connect your actual choice board to. So she uses bingo because, again, this is a bingo slide, and each one has a subtitle. So we know that under B, it talks about our universe. I is organisms, N viruses and bacteria, G inside the body, and then she even has some documentaries. So they have to choose any activity and create a bingo either vertically, horizontally, or diagonally. And what she wants them to do is when they complete it, she either wants them to bold it or to highlight it. So they can either bold it or they can go through and they can highlight it. So that lets her know that they've completed it. The cool thing about this is that each one of these is linked to a different slide. So for example, when she created hers, she put her menu first. And then for each one of these, say for example, the video, the day the Mesotonic died, she linked that to Google Slide number 2. So Google Slide number 1 is her menu. Google Slide number 2 is actually where they need to go. So if I chose that one, I would click it, and she embedded a video, so the kids are not leaving off. They're staying on. And once they watch the video, they have questions that they have to answer. I mean, it's ingenious. There is no paper, it's no anything. Everything is right there. Another thing that she did that I thought was pretty neat was that she included research. Research is like amazing. And then she has actual interactive slides here. So they can type on and they can share their actual copy. And this can be shared in the Google Classroom. Once they complete the bingo, they submit everything back into her. She checks it, and she has a true picture of what the students know. And they're actually covering each standard that they need to cover because she's provided them with so many options under each category. Amazing. Remember, our goal with digital choice boards is to make them fun and exciting for the children, but to provide them with the choices that they need to be successful in their education. My name is Angelica Johnson Smith, and I thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. My email is anjohnson@ebrschools.org. Thank you for watching.